So we've just had a media briefing, and I've caught up with my good friend David Scott Cowper, which you haven't seen for. We didn't work it out. It was like 6 years, 7 years, no, 10 years ago.
That. Yeah, it would be all
10
of
years
that.
ago. It was when I was working on a bounty boat Shackleton expedition.
Yes.
And we were there. So I'm going to do a quick take.
Yeah.
We go back to 1979, and we've been lifelong friends since.
Yeah.
And you've inspired me on some things that I did.
Yeah.
And the short story is that when I met you with Oceanbound, when you were sailing solo around the world to take on Sir Francis Chichester's record, we became friends.
Yeah.
Then
you met Nick Franklin then.
Yeah, met Nick Franklin on the second one, who's the designer of the Aries wind vane, when you were taking on Sir Chay Blyth's record around the world, and he beat both of those records.
Yeah.
We became friends, and you said to me once, "Oh, if you ever want to borrow Oceanbound, the boat that you used, just ask me." And I happened to be working on the BOC challenge, fixing up Aries wind vanes, and met Sir Robert Knox Johnston for the first time, and decided I wanted to do the GGR, and thought, oh, David will lend me his boat. I didn't use it, I built another boat, but there are some funny stories. So we were...
And then you had that time down in Antarctica, making bears.
Teddy bears,
Teddy bears. I don't know how many you made, something like 5,000.
Anyway, and then you went crazy and went into motorboats around the world. So you've done 6 solo circumnavigations in yachts and powerboats and so on.
Yes, harder in powerboats.
Yeah, okay. So now, and you've won all sorts of awards, but you're a really sneaky, quiet sort of guy. Not many people really know the full story. It's impossible to tell now, but forgetting about the GGR, what's the best circumnavigation you did? Which one stands out?
The second one in Oceanbound. Yeah. Because that was basically averaging nearly 6 knots, and I don't think there's been many boats. I think she's still the fastest 42-footer.
Yeah. So you averaged 6 knots in it. So it's a 42-foot Houseman S&S design, built by Houseman of Holland, aluminium.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong way round.
Wrong way round.
Chay Blyth's record.
Yeah.
6 knots. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because the winner of the GGR last time, Jean-Luc Van der Heijden, he still holds the record as the fastest. In his big boat, his 78-footer. So it's interesting, eh?
Yes. See, the thing is, with these big boats, they never get a chance to see the scenery, as they do with the slower boats.
Yeah. Okay. And so the last few years, a long time, has all been about the Arctic.
Yes. I've got one more trip to do, and then I'll have done all the routes through the Arctic, apart from on the Russian side, but on the northwest side, the McClure Channel, Simpson Strait, the Heckler Fury Strait, the lot.
And you were doing it when there was really ice there, before all the ice disappeared.
Back in '86, yes.
Yeah, in the '80s, so that was tough.
And oddly enough, when I last look at the ice maps this year, about 14 days ago, there was actually more ice than there's been for a long time.
Yeah, it's contrasting.
Yeah.
So basically it's impossible to tell your story. You've got to Google David Scott Cowper and Oceanbound or Polar Bound, and you'll just be gobsmacked. So okay, that's the quick history. Now it's the GGR.
Yeah.
Why? How on earth?
Yeah, I suppose the enthusiasm of you and I say I'm like to support Don on this because he supported me on the first ones. But yes, I enjoy the logistics of actually preparing a boat. But I didn't imagine how expensive it's becoming now. There, because everything has gone up, and of course they've slapped bigger prices on after COVID, and it's not so easy pulling these boats apart and really going to town with them, because it's almost cheaper to build a new boat.
Yeah, too true. So forgetting about the cost and the challenges of doing the work, how do you feel about the race? You're comfortable.
I'm excited about that. And the thing is that, being as old as I am, all the others will hate to be beaten by an 80-year-old. So they'll be driving their boat hard. I'm hoping
you'll come up behind and just whoop,
as they break them.
Yeah. Okay, that's good tactic. You saw the Southern Ocean a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And you haven't been down there for a while now because you've been up the top.
No, I've been down to Antarctica 3 times.
Yeah, when was the last time?
Last time was most probably about, nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So have you detected a change already?
The weather is much more robust now. There's far more vicious gales, and they last longer.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it that 50 years ago, the 30 knots of wind was considered quite high. Now you talk about 70 or 80 knots of wind.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt about it that the seas...
You're going to be a living, breathing history book when we're down there, when we're talking to you, because there'll be some interesting comparisons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got a drogue for this boat,
yeah.
and I didn't have a drogue for ocean bound or polar bound.
Yeah.
So that I'm prepared, hopefully, for when I say taming the seas, hopefully taming the boat in the seas.
Yeah, true. Okay, so what's the thing that you're most looking forward to? Because there must be a spark there that said, oh yes, I think, because we spoke about this for the last GGR 2018.
Yes.
But it didn't happen because you were busy with the thing.
With the Arctic still there.
Yeah.
I think it's basically the challenge of taking a small boat like this, because in actual fact, the Vendée Globe races, all of these, are so quick that, to my way of thinking, you're not at sea. Because they're sort of done in 40 or 50 days. I can remember when I sailed from the Falklands to Apollo Bay and met you there. It was 100 days at sea.
Yeah.
Just bashing away each day.
Yeah, it's good to extend the pain, you know.
Yes.
And
as I say, it's you're doing the scenic route properly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain serenity to it all, I suppose, in a strange way, obscure way. Because that's one of the essences. Well, this is interesting. I mean, if I asked anyone else, the reply would be different. Will you miss the lack of communications and speaking to the outside world?
No, because I've never really spoken to the outside world. Because even in ocean bound and polar bound, it's either been just a quick call on the Iridium telephone.
Yeah.
But on ocean bound, I had a ex-Chay Blyth set, army set.
I remember that HF set.
And it was hit and miss. Yeah. And now I can live with myself quite happily with no communication. But I'll be talking to you on the Iridium telephone.
Yes, once a week.
Once a week. So it's not going to be so bad.
So we can laugh a bit. You know?
Yeah.
Karen, how's it going, David? Whoa, you know. So that sort of answers that. What is there anything that you're concerned about, like a fear? Like, is there any element of fear there? I think, oh, here we go again. You know,
no.
I'm not as young as I used to be, and all that sort of stuff.
I won't be dancing around the boat so eloquently as I used to.
Yeah.
Perhaps, could be holding on and the Zimmer frame following it there. But no, if once I've finished with this boat and got everything together and the steel work on it, she'll be robust.
Yeah.
And I should be able to take pretty well any sea.
Yeah.
The only thing with these boats, of course, they've got very vulnerable cockpits, and I've been trying to work on that, because when you take a load of water on board, it's 1.5 tons, and it's clearing that water quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether to put a balloon in there or bag or something to
fill up the space.
Yeah.
I was going to put big 6-inch pipes straight through the back, through the transom. Anyway, on my transom, but that's another story.
Yes.
I'm sure you'll think of an easy way to knock that out.
Yeah. And I'm going to see Sea Glaze and ask them about a door to put across the bulkhead where the mast comes down, because I'm keel stepping the mast. I feel keel stepping is a better way than deck stepped, because if you lose a stay, the whole mast goes and it's over the side, while if a stay breaks, the mast most probably would break at the cross trees as opposed to deck level. So it gives you a bit of scope for the jury rig.
Yeah. So you've always been a free spirit, organising your own voyages. You've never had to deal with safety inspections, medical training, radio license, all that sort of stuff. How do you like that, David?
That suits me fine.
No, I mean now with
Oh
GGR.
no,
Yes.
I won't be going through all of that.
Well, you have to.
You'll have to do secret paperwork.
Okay, let's talk about that later then. Okay, and so how are you going to? Because I remember you used to get all the army clothing and stuff, the polar wear. And
everything is much harder.
Yeah,
now.
what are you going to wear? What sort of clothing system? Because you know what to expect. What are you going to wear?
I might take a heater on the boat. I'll see, but I'll wear most probably sort of tog or something like that, or buffalo kit. I won't have much kit.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that it'll all have to be into dry bags, and then the food is going to take up a lot of space. Then you've got fresh water, and then you've got diesel, and my tanks don't, in actual fact, fit the spec, so they're having to put a bit more diesel on board and a bit more water.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so where do we go to from here? So when you get to La Sable d'Olonne, do you speak French?
No French.
Okay. So you're British. You're terribly British. The French are going to look at you and say, "Golly, who's this chap from England that sort of looks like Don McIntyre with no hair?" They'll. I think you're going to surprise a lot of people, because the one thing that amazes me about you is your story is untold.
Yeah.
There's a few people that really know what you've been doing over the last 50 years, but it's a huge story and it's an amazing one coming into the GGR. So thank you for joining and supporting the GGR.
No, I'm absolutely delighted. Wouldn't sort of miss it for all the China in the world, or all the tea in the world.
Okay. Say. And so for the record, you'll be 80 when you cross the start line. When are you 81?
After I've finished, hopefully.
Oh, okay. So you'll be an 80-year-old having done a
because
yacht
when
race.
I got back, I've got to look up, because the papers all said by George, he's done it.
Yeah.
And I forget whether that was in April or March.
Oh, you might have to slow down to get the record. That's insane. What about your anti-fouling? What anti-fouling are you going to use?
Yeah, I deliberated on copper coating. Copper coating is quite expensive, and you say you've got to go a certain speed to keep the ablator fouling, so I might not go to that expense. I might just use ordinary fouling and put on a few extra layers.
Okay, and navigation, sextant, you've done it all before, because that was all that was just about around in those days.
That's right, and I'm hoping I can be permitted to bring my Rigel electronic chronometers.
Ooh, I'm not sure about that. You might have to...
These antique chronometers are expensive.
We'll see. We can talk about that. Anyway, that's cool. So dust off the sextant and go from there. Your sextant, sextants have always got a story. Where did did you buy your sextant?
Yeah,
or did it come
I did.
From somewhere?
Yes, I'll be bringing a spare.
Yes.
But it's one that has accompanied me for all my trips, even the polar trips and down to Antarctica, around the world in ocean bound, polar bound, etc., etc. So, yes, it's an old faithful.
Okay, so
and it's in a nice wooden box that's been underwater, etc., etc. So I've polished it and sanded it and all the rest of it.
That's cool.
And the sextant looks like it's had a bit of hard wear.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't ask you what's next after the GGR. We'll wait until you finish the GGR first.
Yeah.
But what's the one that you must have something else that you're going to take on the trip?
I've got. If I can do the Russian side without a Russian on board, I quite like to do that.
Yeah.
Because it puts me off having to have a Russian on board.
This is the Arctic trips.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I've got one more route through the Prince of Wales Strait, and then I've done all the 7 routes through the Northwest Passage.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
So
okay.
Those are the things. So I keep polar bound. She'll be mothballed for the next 18 months.
Because you've still got ocean bound, eh?
Still got ocean bound.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'm hoping Freddie, my son, who's just bred 3 daughters, will use this boat because I've basically kept it for him.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, when I look around the show, ocean bound is still most probably a very good seaworthy boat compared with all these fiberglass ones.
You know, Captain Coconut, he had a boat same design as ocean bound. Anyway, we digress. So one last question, final question. Is there something special you're going to take on the boat that you've taken, except for your sextant, that you've taken on all your voyages? You know, some special thing that you take on every trip?
Yeah, you gave me a bear, so I expect that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should show you my beta bear. His head's fallen off since. Long story. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, David. We look forward to more later on.